Horror games. I've had a phobia of horror games for as long as I can remember. The feeling of immersion and dread that horror games can produce is uncanny and seems to break the limits of what emotions are possible to invoke through a screen. Each one is a roller coaster of emotions, all bottled up with different sensations of scare, each one utilizing different methods to get you shivering. The environments, the enemies, the story, even some of the older horror games with lower quality graphics are truly terrifying. There's just something about that immersion into a warped world, one that is so imaginary yet feels so real. So someone had the bright idea to take that and make it like 100 times worse. Introducing VR. With VR, the blockade of 2D is gone. Now, simulating immersion is as easy as ever, and it's terrifyingly cool. The world of horror is literally all around you. You don't have to imagine the immersion into the horror of the environment. You're in the action, and it makes horror games so much more scary. It combined with the amazing environments, blood-churning stories, and often very, very polished graphics that VR horror games have, you have one spooky experience. However, I've recently stumbled upon a very, very interesting iteration of this genre. I've seen many different takes on the horror genre, all kinds of stories and playstyles, but the one I'm talking about in this video is very unique. It combines two genres that I would have never thought would work together. Now that I'm seeing it realized, I'm questioning why I haven't seen it done before. Today I'm going to share with you the dreadful beauty of Cosmodread. Ooh, spooky. So, what is Cosmodread? Well, in best summary, it is an in-development VR survival horror roguelike in which you traverse a strange dead spaceship, desperately trying to find an escape. Unfortunately, you're not alone, as there are a lot of beings that don't seem to be too friendly, to say the least. As you travel the ship, you collect supplies and resources to survive and fight off these monsters and whatever else is in the ship. It looks like there is a crafting system, which is awesome, and you can also find supplies to use immediately from scavenging, such as ammo or batteries to power the things in the ship. It looks like your main weapon will be this crossbow thing, which is cool, but since ammo is limited, you'll have to get a little creative with making your way through the enemies in the game, such as throwing objects to distract them and using stealth to evade them. So on the surface level, this seems like your typical run-of-the-mill exploration dark horror game in VR. What's so special? Well, this is a roguelike, which means that every time you die, you restart back at the beginning and face a brand new generated dungeon, completely different from the last. And oh my stars, is this amazing for this game. Why is it amazing? I'm getting to it. Although I've only played a very limited number of horror games, I feel like a huge part of what makes them good is the exploration of an unknown environment. You trudge through unknown territory, ready for anything to come at you at any time, fearing the unknown that awaits before you. The exploration piece of horror games is crucial to the full experience, as the unknown is scary. We fear the unknown, it's just in our human nature, and horror games do a great job at prying at this fear by forcing you to explore the unknown to progress. So why does this matter with Cosmodread? Well, it matters because in this game, you are constantly in the unknown. Most horror games have this element of the unknown initially, but once you explore an area, you've explored the area, and the unknown becomes known. It is still scary to traverse through the unknown area, as the game often leaves you in darkness, which hinders your ability to know where you are, and there's always a possibility of a jump scare from a random enemy. However, I feel like going back to somewhere you've been and knowing where you are hinders the scariness of a horror game. Darkness and enemies can only do so much to mask the area in a coat of unknown. This doesn't make the horror game just not scary, of course. There are a lot of factors that are still at work making the game scary, along with the fact that often horror games tend to be linear-ish and continue to push you into new unknown environments. However, any kind of backtracking or revisiting of an area makes the area less scary, because you can anticipate what is there. That feeling of fear of the unknown is gone. If you came across a jump scare that you already saw, it would be way less scary because it relied on the fact that you didn't know it was there the first time. This is especially evident in replays of these linear horror games. Replaying horror games is still scary as heck, but the games do lose some of their sense of fear because you already know beforehand all the areas. The jump scares are much less effective, the tension in the environments is diminished, and the overall experience is lessened. However, in Cosmodread, you are constantly hit with brand new unknown environments to explore, because they are randomly generated in each run. I love the aspect of randomly generated dungeons, and have talked extensively about it in the past, but I'm just so amazed that the developers of Cosmodread use the random generated areas in this way, because when I see it, it makes so much sense. How do we eliminate the known areas of a game? Simple. Make sure there are no known areas. This means that every time you rerun the game, which you most likely will do a lot, you are hit with a brand new unknown ship to explore, and all the fear of the unknown can linger for hours and hours and hours of playtime. No longer does the darkness have to be the variable that controls the known, although it is present in the game. Now, the game itself will always give you a fresh new scary ship to explore, while retaining all the key mechanics that make the game fun. I was so just blown away with this, because never would I ever have thought that these genres could mix so well, horror and roguelike, because of this one gameplay element, but as soon as I saw that trailer, I was convinced. This game hasn't come out yet, and won't be for about a month at the time of this recording, but boy, am I thinking about getting a VR headset and picking up this game just for the new environments thing, even though I am terrified of horror games, especially in VR. Of course, this game isn't perfect, and I do see some issues that I think the game will have already just from the trailer and gameplay. From the footage they show, it seems like the gameplay will be a bit slow, as the whole scene we see with the main character fighting that drone thing felt kinda tedious. I mean, it just looked slow and not smooth. However, it is a VR game, so control and quick movement are kinda hard since you're limited to the capacity of your body, and this is just one enemy in the game, so perhaps the other enemies will offer faster or smoother gameplay. Furthermore, since the game is probably going to require you to do a lot more sneaking than fighting from the looks of it, this shouldn't be too big of an issue, seeing as the general vibe of the game will be slow, intentionally. I'm also interested to see how the items and crafting works, and how much has to be crafted versus unique items that can be picked up, and how they can be implemented. As it is a roguelike, I hope the item diversity is good since we didn't see a lot of that stuff in the trailer, but I'm not too worried. I'm also hopeful there may be a puzzle element too. I kinda got a little vibe from it from the trailer, but I can't confirm it. I also love the fact that the trailer barely shows you a glimpse of the areas and enemies, which I think only proves my point that the developers know about the unknown aspect of their game and want to preserve it. It's not like a point on the game I want to make, I just thought that that was a cool thing that the developers did while making the trailer. So, Cosmodread. Highly recommend you check it out when it releases, and in the meantime, you can try out Dreadhalls, which is a previous game made by the same developer as Cosmodread, with a very similar premise, also in VR. I wanted to try this game first, since it would be a good point of reference for Cosmodread, but sadly I don't have a VR headset at the moment, so I couldn't try it out, but from what I've seen, it's very similar to Cosmodread, just set in a different setting with different mechanics. So if you're interested in this idea of Cosmodread, maybe go check out Dreadhalls. Also, what do you all think of the game? Does it look promising, especially the new environment aspect? And if you're watching after the game came out, how well did this idea come to fruition? Be sure to leave a comment below, and hopefully I can do an actual review of the game later to see for myself. I'm kind of excited to try it. And that's all I have for you today. A like and maybe a sub would be highly appreciated. I'm glad you could stop by and, sorry, I thought I heard something, yeah, it's probably my imagination. For a second there, I thought I saw. Yeah, it's probably just my imagination. I'm probably fine. Yeah, we're probably good.